everybody, whether you're on the East Coast, West Coast, or around the world. This is Coast to Coast. Lots of weird stuff going on. How's it going, gentlemen?
It's going.
It's drier here than it is over there.
There's no doubt that it is drier just about everywhere, except in the Pacific Northwest. We have flood warnings for every major river, and our local river that I can see from my house is going to finish estimated around 27 feet above normal. So pretty ridiculous. The off-ramp to our place is underwater, so that's fun. But
so do not drop off your toys at his house today.
Right.
Well, if you do, bring a boat. Also leave the boat. But no.
Whoever shows up at your door with the gift today is a very, very passionate giver and should be rewarded.
Yeah, I mean, they'd also be in the wrong spot because I won't be here because I'll be over at the spot you're supposed to drop them off, which is Crucible Brewing in Everett, off Everett Mall Way.
Just have him bring a seaplane with him.
The river's not that big, man. Come on.
Seaplanes aren't that big.
They are when there's bridges and stuff.
Yeah. Hey, you got all that rain after we just got 9 inches of snow Monday. We officially have more snow this year than we had all of last winter, and it's not even winter yet.
Exactly. Come out to get a free beer. So I might as well just do that promo right now. Crucible Brewing off of Everett Mall Way. Bring your new unwrapped toy tonight, and you will get your second beer free when you drop off that toy. So come out, Everett Mall Way, Crucible Brewing. There we go.
Free beer number 2.
Yes.
Not number 1.
You
got to buy a beer and a present.
Yes. And then you get a free beer. They're not trying to lose money, man. Come on.
Is StreamYard doing its thing again? You got it. You must know.
Well, absolutely. Yeah. StreamYard is super dumb all the time. In fact, I was complaining about it as we went live. I was like, oh, they moved my stuff again.
There's a guy, and his only job is to mess with people. They literally hired him to mess with people.
Hey, you know what? If that's the case, I want a job. Like, if your whole existence for StreamYard is to just mess with people, like sign me up. I'll even do it kind of cheap.
You can do that. You can do that remotely too. You don't even have to go to StreamYard to do that kind of a job.
And you absolutely do not get a free toy or a free beer with every toy. It is one free beer. One free
Damn,
beer.
Donna. Did you really think that? Come on.
Just out there spreading lies.
Bring in like 10 toys. I get 10 beers.
But you could bring all of your friends. If you have more than one toy, bring friends.
You absolutely
and then buy them a beer. And then get them a free beer. So it's like a BOGO. Buy one, get one with an extra toy.
So you can game the system. I'm not saying you couldn't do that. I do not encourage it. I'm also not aware. In case Eric
listen, it's Thursday night. We're going to be watching some football. Bring your buddies. You're going to be going out anyways. Do it. Make it happen. Bring some toys. These are for needed kids that don't get toys. So make it happen. Do it. For the love
of beer.
Since you're talking about that,
you're based on that pause.
Hey, just out of curiosity, does the quality of the gift I bring give me the quality of beer that I'm looking for? For example, if I bring you a crappy toy, just a crappy toy, but I get like Old Milwaukee's Best, but if I bring like a really badass toy, would I get maybe like a Michelada or something?
Jay, this is a brewery, kid. They don't sell the white.
I use those names as an example. I'm saying like on whatever their beer that they make, like when I get the low end of their beer or
they don't have white label cans that just say beer on them. Like they actually are a craft beer location. It's a brewery. Like what are we talking about, Jay?
Well,
besides, I assume
my grandpa raised me. All I ever did was Pabst.
I assume if you're bringing a toy, it's a crappy toy.
That's not true. I actually give good gifts. My gifts are pretty good.
I will say that now that you guys are talking about that, though, Donald Driver was at my wife's work the other day. She works at Target part-time for, like, the holidays just to get, like, extra Christmas money and whatever.
That's what's up.
He spent $125,000 at Target on Monday to buy toys for kids for his charity.
Oh, that's awesome.
That's pretty cool.
Like, that is an athlete who doesn't play football anymore, that hasn't played football in almost 13, 14 years now, and he's still forking over six figures every holiday season for his charity to buy kids gifts, and he hand delivers them and everything. He rents out a U-Haul truck, puts all the gifts in the truck, and then he hand delivers them to. So the charity that he has is called the Donald Driver Charity.
Okay.
And obviously, like, every person that's part of the charity, like, they have their contact information, like the family's contact information that puts like the kids in that charity. So once he buys all the gifts and gets them in the U-Haul truck, he actually hand delivers the gifts every Christmas morning to all the kids that are part of his charity.
That's very cool.
So, Chad, to answer your question, who? Yeah, sorry. That's all I can really say about that.
Must be a practice squad guy.
Or like a special teamer.
Could be.
Yep. I feel like everybody should do a little bit of their part. If you do have the means, you should definitely do a little bit for Christmas. I did a celebrity bartending event for a group of guys. We raised $18,000 in 2 hours.
Damn.
The guys attribute it to me some, but it had nothing to do with me. I got to be the one that was on the mic yelling at people to give their money. It's like, that's the easy job. Me painting my face and yelling at people that they got to put money into the jar. That's simple. The people coming out and actually giving the money is what that's all about. So, and listen, I appreciate that people say, man, you were the MVP. I wasn't anything. I was just a guy with the loud mouth. I'm good at that, though. I'm very good at being the guy with the loud mouth.
Are you sure?
I also was talking about this yesterday. I have a feeling that it's going to be the Eagles coming up to Green Bay in late January. And I was asking a friend of mine, like, I know I could ask you, but I feel like you're biased. So
Who, me?
I was asking a friend of mine. Yeah, you. I was asking a friend of mine who I was shooting darts against last night. And his wife is originally from Green Bay.
Mm-hmm.
And I says, have you been up to Green Bay in January at all, like late January?
Fox.
He's like, I think so. I said, what was it like? What really was it like? He's like, I think the wind chill was like -50. He said, here's what we did for fun. We got a bucket of hot water. We went outside and we threw the bucket of hot water and it turned to snow.
Instant smoke. It doesn't even turn to snow. Like, if it's like -30, you get a bucket of boiling water, a pot, or whatever you want. You go on your front porch, you throw the water up in the air, in less than a second, it turns to just water vapor and smoke.
So he said it turned to snow.
Swedish fish. They're Swedish fish. I can tell from here.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just listening to Christmas stories about snow and water and science and boiling into snow.
He's Pigs.
He's like, I'm eating fish.
Pigs. He's half right though. Like, yes, the wind chill can get to be like -50 that time of year, but that's not like an everyday occurrence. That's like once every now and then when you get like a polar vortex and things like that.
Oh, yeah.
But like late January in Green Bay, you're gonna have your single digits. You're gonna have your cold weather, and you're gonna have below 0 wind chills, but it's not gonna be like low. It'll be like 3 degrees for a high with like a -10, -15 wind chill. Like, it's not gonna be pleasant if you got to come up here in January. I can tell you that much. It's gonna be nice and chilly for you.
And I'll tell you,
I suspect I'm going to be there.
The warmest
I have a
ever
feeling.
remember was the year that they lost to the Tampa Bay Bucks in the NFC Championship game when Tom Brady took Tampa Bay to the Super Bowl that year. It was the NFC Championship game was in Green Bay that year. It was like, I think, January 27th or 28th, and it was like 45 degrees and sunny that day. So there are some rare occurrences where you could get a decent January weather game, but typically not so much in Green Bay. Like this week is a prime example. Today it's going to be like 34 degrees outside after we just had 9 inches of snow. But then starting tomorrow through Tuesday, the warmest day we have is 7 degrees. And it's going to be negative 10 for lows the next 5 days starting tomorrow. So yeah,
that's
you get one.
awful.
You get like one. You have your snow, and then you have 2 decent days, and then you get a week of just hell.
Well, and
Wear
I'm
lots
going to
of
be going to
chapstick.
Buffalo to prepare for this.
Yeah.
I am really going to be in Buffalo to prepare for the cold weather coming.
And Buffalo's not as bad as Green Bay temperature wise. They get worse like when it comes to like the snow and kind of like the wintry weather, but like temperature wise, they're still usually warmer than what it is in Green Bay. Like Green Bay temperature wise just sucks in January. They just don't get the snow like Buffalo has. And I honestly, like, if everyone wants to complain about the snow up here because it's a pain in the ass when you get it all the time. But I will take shoveling snow any day over negative 40-degree wind chills because you can't even go outside without just having your lungs hurt.
I mean, yeah, but you know what else I do is not move somewhere where it's minus 40.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, hey, that's why I moved away from that area. I was like, nah, I'm good. Let me go back to the south. That's where I belong.
You know what else you don't have to shovel is rain. So even though we're having some flooding, my house is cool. I can walk out to my car and drive somewhere.
I think Pegs, I think you're gonna get lucky. I think you're gonna end up in LA for NFC Championship game.
I don't believe that, and I'll tell you why. I think that it's for the championship game, yes, but I think we're going to wind up there for the divisional round. I think that Green Bay is going to. I saying that the Eagles lose one more game, they win the division, lose one more game. I think we're going to be the number 3 seed, obviously,
Yeah, you
because
would
I
be.
think Tampa's going to catch us. I actually don't think Tampa's even going to win the division.
I think Carolina.
I think Carolina is
Well,
going to do it.
We'll see tonight because Mike Evans comes back tonight. Jalen McMillan comes back tonight. So if Evans and McMillan can show that they're actually not necessarily 100%, but if they can show that they're somewhat healthy, that will help Tampa Bay the last few weeks, having both those guys back.
This would be
Frank,
hilarious.
I will tell you that there would be panic set,
Oh, yeah.
but that's not happening. That's not happening at all. You know, and I hear you. I know that you think that it might, but it won't. So
How much
That's
panic?
winning quarterback.
How much panic was there after the game on Monday?
there's still some.
Still some.
Yeah, it's been I mean, everybody's still talking about, hey, that it's, you know, Kevin Petrullo's job and we got to get Frank Reich in here. Maybe we should get Nick Foles in here. Maybe we should talk about changing things up. Truth of the matter is that this past game had nothing to do with the play calling. It had to do with the execution. Had to add execution from the quarterback, the wide receivers, the offensive line on that respect. The defense played a great game. However, there were some defensive play calling that had they did what was working all game long, I felt would have limited what Herbert was able to do. And the fact that I know this and that they didn't do that bothers me.
Do you think Sirianni might be on the hot seat next year, knowing that
No,
Kevin
absolutely
Petullo-
not.
knowing that he probably
No.
should have fired Petullo and he never did?
No, I don't think that that's the case. So Kevin Petrullo is actually getting, going to be getting some interviews for head coach. I'll be honest. I think Kevin Petrullo would be a better head coach than he is an offensive coordinator. And it sounds funny to say that you're like, hey, he's having such a problem trying to call plays and stuff like that. I don't think that he needs to be a play caller. I think that he is a delegator and an organizer and does very well in implementing systems. I think that once he starts to get, I think he was a passing game coordinator, which means that he knows how to talk to quarterbacks. I think that Jalen Hurts has spoken to a lot of people, and he has had a lot of people in his ear. And that means that he feels sometimes that he's the smartest one in the room. And I think that might be what some of the dilemma he's running into is. Not that, not that he's become uncoachable, but that he has had too many coaches now at this point. And he's not listening to any of it. Too much noise. There's been too much noise. And I think that in the process of that, he's now making some of his own decisions. And those decisions it comes with a learning curve. And I think that he is still, that's why I call this his sophomore slump. I think that he has, out of all of the offensive coordinators he's had in here, you could say 2 years ago that was the weakest one. You know what I mean? That they had a real weak one there, but he was family friend. So he had to pay attention to that because kind of dad was in his ear, Now, out of all that, this Kevin is by far, I feel, the weakest of offensive coordinators. And in the process of that, Jalen Hurts' ego is stronger than Kevin Petrullo's teachings or coachings. And that's the dilemma right now. That's where we're having some conflict. And ultimately it's causing issue. And we'll see if it gets resolved.
At least you sound confident about it.
Yeah.
The thing is that he's still the reigning Super Bowl MVP.
Mm-hmm.
I've watched this guy play great. Even in the last game, he had made some throws that were amazing.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
He also made some throws that were ill-advised. So it's a matter of, like I said, I feel like that this is a learning curve for both Jalen and with Kevin Petrullo. And I think that Kevin Petrullo is going to become a very good head coach somewhere. But in the process of that, he's not a very good offensive coordinator right now.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's a real statement. I'm off my soapbox.
I mean, that game. I mean, the good thing
you
is
have to a little bit, right? Like there is some of that comes with playing that position.
Yeah.
So, like, you're never gonna hear players that are near the top of the league that are like, yeah, these other guys are so much better than. Like, nobody's gonna do that. Like, there is a lot of egos in the NFL.
Like, I'm not gonna sit here and say like any game in the NFL is easy because as we've seen this year, like the NFL season this year has been weird to say the least when you look at the teams that have beaten certain teams and whatnot. But like Bo said the other day, the Eagles have the easiest remaining schedule in the NFL. So if there is a time for them to kind of work out the kinks heading into the playoffs, like this last month of the season is that time where you have 4 teams that you should just beat the crap out of. Theoretically, you should beat the crap out of. I mean, doesn't mean they will because their offense hasn't been consistent enough.
I mean, there's 2 teams. There's 2 teams they should beat up on.
Yeah, but like you have 4 games that you realistically should win out, where the Eagles can be like, okay, let's work out the kinks right now, figure out what we got to fix, get into the playoffs, riding a 4-game win streak, and go from there.
I don't know that they beat the Bills, honestly.
Yeah.
But
especially if they don't work out those issues that they had.
The other 3 games, games, they can play exactly how terrible they played and win.
If you get the offense doing better in the next 2 weeks, that you're going to have the shootout. I think our defense, here's what I believe. I believe our defense is much, much better than Buffalo's defense. I think our offense could put points on Buffalo's defense. I have my I'm unsure how good our defense is in comparison to Buffalo's offense. And
Especially
that's
with
what,
James Cook running the ball. James Cook has been killing it running it lately.
yeah, and the run seems to be a little bit of the concern.
Yeah.
I'm not as, I don't necessarily believe that. I felt like that when Chicago ran the ball all over us, that was a scheme issue,
Mhm.
that they schemed wrong. And then they made adjustments wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why it looked like Chicago. I mean, when all is said and done, Chicago did only score 24 points.
Yeah.
That is
My thing
four
is-
scores.
My thing is Herbert put 66 yards on you guys, and he's not even a running quarterback. Allen is
Yeah,
a
but
running quarterback. How much
I
is
ex-
Allen going to put
I
on you?
explained where I thought the issue went with that.
I understand.
You
I just
know,
don't
it's
know
like,
if they're going to be able to stop that.
yeah, Josh Allen. I'm not as concerned about that with Josh Allen because Josh Allen's a little different. If you bring pressure up the middle, Josh Allen goes around the sides and the edges.
Mm-hmm.
That's where he will beat you. He doesn't beat you in the middle. That's the difference between Herbert and Allen. And in fact, they're exact opposites. You want to clog the middle a little bit, but you want to give pressure on the edges. And then you have to contain those edges. If you don't contain the edges, Allen will kill you.
Well, the first two consecutive first down runs that Herbert did do were around the edges. He got
Well, no,
on
the
right
one was
side
around the edge. The first one was down the center. The first one, he went down the center and then went off to the right, and he
Yeah.
wound up getting out of bounds.
Right.
The second one, like I said, was such a good fake that
Yeah.
even the television followed the fake.
Yeah.
So when and listen, sometimes plays work, and that play worked very well. So much so that he was able to gain 14 yards. If it worked amazingly well, he just scored a touchdown.
It reminds me of that Peyton Manning one where the fake was so good, everybody's following it, and then they didn't even catch up with Peyton until he was almost in the end zone.
Mm-hmm.
He's not fast, which
No,
means
he
that
is
camera
not.
was chasing the wrong guy for like a minute. We're like, oh wait, he doesn't. Oh, Peyton's
It's
all
over
by
here.
himself running in the end zone. So I mean, sometimes the play, the fake, and all of that is amazing.
And they took advantage of the fact. I mean, that play worked really well, mostly because they didn't think that there was a chance that he's going to run the
Of course.
ball that way, because that means he's got to carry the ball in the wrong hands.
Yeah.
So there's so many different things with that play that didn't make sense. I'd never think that would occur, because ultimately, had somebody been there, one guy paid attention, he'd have been able to knock that ball out of his hands
Yeah.
very
Oh, yeah.
easily. It was that type of play. So you're taking that chance. You really are. And it worked. That play worked really well. That's why he was able to get that second play for another first down. That all being said, that when you think about it, they only scored one touchdown. The rest were field goals.
Yeah.
Kicker was kicking kicks.
Mhm.
He was kicking kicks and kicking kicks and kicking
Just
kicks.
racking up fantasy points.
And
So
Yeah.
the Rivers thing is interesting. It's not going to matter. Their remaining schedule, they're going to lose. Like
Their
their
remaining
season's
schedule
over.
is just
They're
brutal.
already tied for second, technically in the third spot because of the tiebreaker. The Colts are cooked, and honestly, he's hoping that Leonard gets the start this time because Seattle will absolutely beat up on Rivers if he somehow has to start this game.
And that's
Now,
my fantasy defense in Seattle. And I'm like, yes.
No, yeah. If you have the defense for Seattle, you
Yeah.
start them. This
Yeah.
no question. But yeah, I mean, you either have a banged up Riley Leonard, Brett Rippon, who, okay, like that's not a great option, or you have Phillip Rivers. In all of those scenarios, the Seattle defense is going to beat him up. If Rivers does end up playing, he'll want to he'd against the Niners, who their main pass rushers are on IR, right?
Well-
Bosa's out, Warner's out for the season. So even though the back end of the defense is good, they don't have a pass rush to speak of at all. So if you were Phillip Rivers coming off of 5 years and not playing football, I would rather start against the Niners than against Seattle.
I loved his press conference when he came back the other day, because the last time he played was during the COVID year. So
Yeah,
all the press conferences were Zoom meetings. He walks in there, he's like, "Yes, no Zoom meeting."
exactly. Yeah, him talking about, he got asked about his playing weight, which was also hilarious.
He's like, yeah, I ain't running away from nobody.
Exactly.
But I'm my grandpa. Throw me out here.
Yeah.
We do have a game tonight, though.
Dude,
Might as well talk about that. It's what we're used to seeing on a Thursday night slate, where it's going to be a bad game. So we have Atlanta and the Bucks. This one
This is
feels
for
like
first place,
Morris-
though, isn't it?
no,
What's that?
Atlanta's like 5-8. Atlanta's
Oh.
been cooked for a while.
Oh yeah, no, they're done. At this point, it's just, is Morris getting fired? Like,
Yeah.
that's the question. And they're a 4.5 point underdog in this game, despite the fact that Tampa is super hurt.
Getting
But-
healthier. They're getting healthier this week.
Not enough healthier. I mean, it'll be enough against Atlanta because Atlanta is terrible. But I mean, Atlanta isn't beat up enough to be as bad as they are. So I have the Bucks winning this game, obviously. But at what point do they finally fire Morris? Because I mean, at this point, you've had a good roster for a couple of years, and they just can't seem to figure anything out. They can't figure out how to get their players involved.
Right.
All of that is coaching.
The thing is, though, they had this problem with Arthur Smith, though, too. Like, Arthur Smith
Yeah.
had a good roster. He didn't have, like, Cousins as his quarterback. He had Ritter and some of the end of Matt Ryan and whatever. But, like,
Well, that's the issue, though.
they
Is
haven't had that
Didn't
quarterback.
he didn't have the pieces this team has.
Yeah, he didn't have Bijan. He didn't have, like, Kyle Smith was
He
known to
literally
get
just
to.
named every star player.
But, like, Arthur Smith got used.
Like,
Arthur Smith
it was almost the same, except for all of these guys that
But
are
Arthur
awesome.
Smith still had like some of the end pieces of Dan Quinn, but all Arthur Smith did was go 7-10, 7-10, 7-10. Like you could pretty much pencil in exactly how he was going to finish
And I'm
every
not
year.
defending Arthur Smith. I don't think he was a good coach, but at the same time, I bet he could have done more
Oh,
with the roster that he has that's there today.
I think he would have had a winning season with this roster. Maybe not playoff worthy, but I think he would have had at least a winning season with this roster.
in that division. It's playoff worthy.
Well, that's true, yeah.
A winning season is a playoff team
Yeah.
in that division.
Yeah, Morris has never been a good head coach, though. And he showed that even when he was with Tampa Bay, the first crack at it, that he had a head coaching opportunity. He's never been like a great head coach. He's another one of those guys that I think is just a very good play caller on defense, just not head coach material.
Well, and then, some of it also comes down to who you pick in your staff, right? I mean, if you're a defensive head coach, you need an OC that knows what they're doing. The fact that you can't get your stars on offense involved, it means you're not good at picking your staff, which will still get you fired.
Yeah, because Zach Robinson's his OC, which he worked with him in the Rams organization. Robinson was the quarterback coach for the Rams, and Morris was the DC. So obviously they had that connection together, but being a quarterback's coach is different than being an OC, which oddly enough, Michael Penix was complaining about the coaching of the quarterback. So it's like your offensive coordinator was a quarterback coach. Like, go talk to him.
And Penix is the one that came out and said that he feels like he has nobody to talk to on the team, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
So
That's what
yeah.
I'm saying. Like Robinson had Matthew Stafford, which Matthew Stafford's a different level quarterback, but he still knew how to coach up quarterbacks a little bit with the Rams.
There's so much wrong with that team.
Yeah.
And all of it has to do with the coaching.
Yeah, it always
Because,
falls back on that for sure.
well, especially when you're talking about guys that are underperforming, guys that aren't involved, a clear just disconnect mentally as far as being able to be a cohesive unit That's all on the coaching.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, because you got plenty of talent. Like if you look at the roster, you're like, oh yeah, they're probably winning their division. And then you look at their gameplay and you're like, how are they this bad?
Right. There's not just things all across that team. So you that has to fall back on the head coach. It's not just one aspect you're failing at.
Exactly.
And they've had I don't think they have. I think Tampa Bay, when healthy, has the best offense in that division. But like top to bottom, like offense, defense, Atlanta's had the most talented roster in that division the last 5 years, without question. When you look at who they've added on defense, when you look at the pieces they've drafted on offense and who they've gotten on offense, but yet you get the same results every year: 6-7 wins, 6-7 wins, 6-7 wins, and that's what you pencil them in for every year.
Yeah, I mean, if you go through that roster, there's no reason that their output looks the way it is because they have to play their division, which is not good.
Like that alone, you would think with how much talent they have, you would think they could go 5-1 in their division, split with the Bucks, sweep the Panthers, sweep the Saints. And if you're 5-1 in your division, you should be able to win at least 4 games outside of that somehow to get to 9-8.
Well, especially because you're routinely in the bottom rankings, so it's not like you're going to have a horrendous schedule most of the time either. So I mean,
but they can't even go 5-1 in their division. They're going like 2-4, sometimes 3-3 on a good year.
Yeah, no, I mean they're awful, but there's no reason for it other than the people that are pulling the strings because the talent's there. They just can't use the talent.
Well, if you remember correctly, at the beginning of the season, we were talking about Tampa being, potentially a Super Bowl contender.
Yeah, of course. And if they stayed healthy, they probably would have been.
Yeah, right. Well, the problem is that they have age problems, and then they still have the same problem that they've had for a long time, which is their offensive line. Mm-hmm. And if Baker could stay upright, Baker would be able to play longer and probably be better.
Sure.
Atlanta is kind of in that same boat. It amazes me with as much of a copycat league that this league is, that that other teams haven't adopted the Eagles' way of drafting.
I think there is a very limited number of great offensive linemen. I mean, take our Seahawks, for example. We hadn't gotten the line right in over a decade, despite the fact that we drafted a lot of people. We just, for whatever reason, couldn't make it happen. And
that becomes coaching, I think.
Well, some of it is, for sure. Some of it is these guys just don't make it to the next level, whatever. But, I mean, if you look at our current line, most of it's good. And I've picked on this guy a ton, but Anthony Bradford is an absolute liability on it, right? Mm-hmm. He was a high draft pick. I think he was 108th overall, right? So right at the beginning of the 3rd round. That's a solid draft pick, right?
Yeah.
He is, I mean, he can't do anything particularly well. He's ranked 75th out of 79, which means you're not even a starter based on rankings, right? You're barely a second stringer.
You're barely on the practice squad at that point.
Yeah. I mean, so, but that being said, he's still our starter, which lets you know that the guys behind him aren't great. And then we couldn't go find a guy during free agency, right? Like we kicked the tires on someone. I don't remember who it was, but that was it, right? So, I mean, as far as offensive linemen, like you can have a plan. There's not a lot of dudes that seem to make that transition, especially for that interior line.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and I get it because Mekhi Becton was on the Chargers, mm-hmm. and he was he did very well here, but he was a turnstile against Davis. Davis was killing him. And, I know that we didn't have Carter, but that didn't really matter. That, Carter wouldn't have done anything different than what the other guys were doing in that other spot. I think that their offensive line was horrible. In the offseason, I'd love to be able to get a couple of coaches, offensive line coaches, to discuss what makes one offensive line so much better than another offensive line, because we've already said that the difference in talent between the best and the worst is really small in the grand scheme of things. These guys are 300 pounds plus, and I understand that there is, again, the defensive line is the same type of situation. You have the best and you have the worst, and that there's a certain level of fluctuation that comes with that, but not a tremendous amount. There's only so many jobs out there in the NFL that, ultimately you're going to win or lose. It makes me wonder, like, if I can get the Eagles offensive line coach, who has been a staple here since Chip Kelly. Like, every other coach has been gone. They ain't getting rid of him. He's here, and I'd love to know what he does that's so much different than all these other coaches, and that why, when even you're getting a bunch of first round picks, that you can't seem to get it all worked out. And I know that continuity means a lot, especially with an offensive line. A line that doesn't work together all the time isn't as efficient. When you start having injuries and you start replacing people left and right, I mean, it's like it's like we've got everybody on our line minus Jordan Mailata that's been hurt.
Mm-hmm.
That's a big deal, and you can't win when you're switching them out all the time.
Yeah, and so, Rob, saying he stepped up is subjective. We'll put it that way. If you go back and watch, almost everything he did, the center helped him double team. I would hope that you have a better success rate when you're double bodying whoever was rushing in Bradford's spot. He is a little bit better in pass pro over the last couple of weeks, but still absolute whiffs in run protection. So I don't give him a pass because his numbers look a little bit better over the last few weeks, because when you watch the film, they're double teaming almost every one of his assignments.
Right.
So as soon as it's a blitz, that's a free rusher most of the time. Don't get me wrong. I want him to do better. So don't misunderstand me. Like, I want him to be the guy they thought they drafted. I just haven't seen it yet.
Hell yeah, spaghetti for sure. Spaghetti for sure.
You know what, Joe? That might have been the first good football thing that you've said all week.
You don't gotta take that shit, Joe.
So, I mean, we should chat about this also. Cam Newton crying because they gave Phillip Rivers a call and not him. The thing is if you are a distraction,
he's more than a
teams
distraction.
are less likely to call you.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it just is what it is. Like, it's great. You built your brand, and you wear stuff that you look like you're gonna, kidnap Sonic. But at the same time, like, nobody wants that. Nobody wants a distraction around their team, especially when they're calling somebody where they're already having issues. So, could he still play? I don't know. I mean, when the last few times we saw him wasn't great. So Rivers is better. I don't know that that's true. I mean, the last.
But isn't Cam's arm kind of jacked up? I mean, he didn't he do something to his arm where he's lost some of the in that passing arm of his where he's not throwing the ball as far or as hard.
He wasn't throwing it very accurately the last few times we saw him. Anyway,
His shoulder.
Last time we saw Rivers, he threw for 4,000 yards with the Colts. right?
Yeah,
The
Newton's
problem
shoulder
is,
got
5
messed
years
up in
ago.
New England.
It was 5 years ago. So you're like, he's not going to be that guy. That
I
being
just want to
said,
see when he gets the first hit. When he gets that first hit, how's he gonna?
that's not Cam's point here. Cam is like, I didn't retire so long ago. I think Cam's like 36 or 37.
36.
So, I mean, I get his argument. It's just all of the other stuff that comes with him is what the issue is. If he wasn't the way he is, he probably would have got a call.
Yeah, but also Rivers finished his career with
Colts.
Indianapolis.
Exactly.
They know what they're getting. You know, that's part of this. I mean,
And it's a scheme too. Like, there's not too many teams that need a 36-year-old quarterback that was a running quarterback early in his career, which he's not going to be able to play the way he did when he was at MVP form. Like, you bring in Cam Newton at 36 years old, you're not going to have him tuck and run the ball 15, 20 times like he used to do in Carolina. You're going to make him stand back in the pocket and throw. And from all accounts, Cam Newton has never shown that he can be a pocket passer. He's always had to be on the move. He's always had to be that run first guy. Versus Phillip Rivers, he's a pocket passer. The Colts offense has Jonathan Taylor, so they don't need
Well, let's be honest. When Cam was with New England, it wasn't exactly the best experience there, right? He looked pretty damn bad. Where they even benched him at one point. So, I mean, you already kind of like you know what you have in Cam Newton.
That was my point. Is the last few times you saw him, it was not good tape.
Terrible,
right?
Terrible.
And so, what's the one thing you know about the NFL? If you put out bad tape,
not for long.
You don't get phone calls. I mean, Baker got let go because he was injured and had 6 games of bad tape. Right. So the Browns were like, yeah, we're not going to sign you. We think we broke you. And then, obviously he moves on and plays well. But I mean, if you put out bad tape, the worst thing Baker did was play injured because he put out bad film. Mm-hmm. And the NFL is like, yeah, film doesn't lie. Right.
Yeah. The thing with Rivers.
Unless it's a pro day. And then they'll forget about your entire college career for some reason. Cool. But,
and let's be honest, man, Rivers doesn't have to exactly be the most mobile guy either. He just has to be able to facilitate the offense. He's got to maybe move a little bit left and right, but he doesn't have to be, a running guy. He just has to be able to facilitate the damn offense. Which I think he'll be more than fine doing.
The thing that was saying
that's the problem with Cam is, he never made that step forward, right? Like he was that guy that could body up guys and run and all of that, but he never made that Lamar Jackson arc where he refined his passing game, right? Because when Lamar came in, right, running quarterback, everybody made the joke that he's just a running back that plays quarterback, but he is one of the more efficient passers in the league today. That's not something Cam ever did, right? He never developed that end of it. So soon as his athleticism started to wane, he didn't have the arm talent to stay in the league. And, that showed itself very clearly when he was with the Patriots.
That's the thing that you were saying about film, though, too. Like, Rivers was a 17-year pro.
Yeah.
And from all accounts, record aside, rings aside, because he doesn't have any playoff success aside, because he doesn't have much, he was still one of the most consistent quarterbacks in the NFL for 17 consecutive years. Like, you knew exactly what you were going to get out of Rivers every single season. And there's a reason why, when all is said and done, he's probably going to get into the Hall of Fame. He's not going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer, but he's probably going to get into the Hall of Fame for the body of work that he's put in. And teams are going to look at him like, you're a potential Hall of Famer. We're going to give you a shot, even though you're 44, because I have 17 years of consistent work out of you. As opposed to,
and it's not just that; it's just his last year in the league was also a great year.
Yeah,
he threw for over 4,000 yards. They were an 11-win team, and it was with the Colts anyway, right? So I mean, there's a lot of things that lend itself well. Again, I don't think it's a great move. He hasn't played for 5 years. I can't think of anything that I've ever stopped doing for 5 years that I came back and was good at. So I'm going to go with, if he does play, it's not going to be pretty, but at the same time, do you make that phone call over Cam? Yeah, because again, you're looking at the last tape that you had. So if those were the two options and you look at the tape that Cam put out the last really 2 years of his career versus Phillip Rivers, when he walked away, you're just like, okay, well, one not quite like the other, right? You look at Rivers and you're like, okay, he played well, and they fizzled out in the playoffs, but it is what it is. You look at Cam's last 2 years of starts, you're like, man, this is This does not look good.
I mean, I just don't. Here's the thing. The guy's got everything, right? I mean, he to make him successful at that age that he's at. I mean, he's got a great running back, great security blanket, and Tyler Warren for the short dump off passes, whatever. It gets him out of trouble. I mean, he's got the wide receiver 1 and Price, and also and Pittman. I mean, he's got a decent offensive line and a good play caller. Somebody's familiar with. I mean, he has everything he needs to be successful. As long as he can stay upright and don't take too many hard hits, I mean, I think he'll be okay. You know, as long as he's got a decent arm, I think he's gonna be fine.
He's not going to be okay though because of the teams that he has on his schedule in front of him.
I think he only needs to be a good game manager and get the ball out quick. So it's going to be quick timing routes and a healthy dose of Jonathan Taylor. That's what they do best, anyways. So let's continue to do that and make sure that we have him in the backfield, like him in the shotgun position, where it's 3-step drop, bang, 3-step drop, bang. There's no 7-step. There's no waiting. These got to be timing routes, and they got to be crosses. They got to be outs. They're going to have to.
Of course, there's no 7-step. He'd be out of breath by the time he got there.
Right.
He'd be like kneeled over, like, oh man, that's a long ways.
I got 2 more steps. What the hell?
No, I mean, he'll need to get it out quick because he's not going to be able to take the hits.
It was kind of funny. They were asking Kevin O'Connell about Phillip Rivers because Kevin O'Connell tried to get Rivers as like a 1-year bridge quarterback before he retired. And his response was, I'm not surprised Phillip's back in the NFL at all. He's got a full-scale practice field in his backyard. I know he's got enough family members to field 2 teams.
But not only that, but I think we're missing some of the point of having him in the room. I feel like it sounds to me like the 3rd-string quarterback is ready to come back here in a week or so. That he's close enough that it's actually a consideration. And I feel like having Rivers in the room is like additional coaching. That's what he's here for. He's not here to play. He's here to help coach the number 3 quarterback and to try to give him as much knowledge as possible from somebody who is well respected within the organization. That's what he's here for.
Yep.
I understand that everybody's thinking, oh, yeah, he's going to play, blah, blah, blah. And he might play for a week. It's kind of like watching any given Sunday. We're talking about any given Sunday here where the guy comes back for 1 half of football. You know what I mean? And he's, he can't get, he's not there anymore. Yeah. But he's still got it all. He's still got all of the tools. He's just not there. And that's the same thing here. It's like he's got all the tools. He's not there. They know this. I mean, listen, these guys are this is an NFL franchise.
Their season's over and they know it. I mean, this is
the Colts.
Yeah.
Yes. No, I think that this is trying to save their season a little bit. They are still here in the playoffs, right?
No, they're out.
They're what? They're what? They're just on the outside looking in, but they're right on the outside.
So they are 3rd in their division, record-wise tied for 2nd. And they are, I believe, the 9th seed if it were to end today.
Yeah.
They're either the 8th or the 9th. So they'd be on the outside looking in. Daniel Jones is not only done for this year, he is likely done for next year.
They are the 8th seed right now, right behind. They're tied with the Texans.
Yeah, but they don't have
there's nobody else close.
Yeah.
No.
So
the thing is,
they still have.
Yeah, but look at their schedule coming up.
Yeah, the Colts have Seattle this weekend at Seattle. Yep. Then they get the 49ers at home, and then they finish with Jacksonville and Houston. So, Indianapolis has a gauntlet of a last 4.
They have a legitimate shot to not win another game.
Yeah, because all 4 teams that they are playing the rest of the way are not only in the playoffs right now, but you have the Niners who are technically still in division contention, only 1 game out, I believe. So they can still win the NFC West. Seattle's obviously fighting for the division. Houston and Jacksonville are obviously NFC South. So, the last 4 games for the Colts are not only playoff games, but the teams they're going against are fighting for division championships and playoff seedings on their own.
Yeah, the only saving grace to playing the Niners is they don't have a pass rush because of the injuries they have.
Yep.
So, I mean, if he was going to play a game, that's the game you want to play.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, it's pretty rough. And Ryan, yes, both those guys have a crazy amount of kids. Philip Rivers can field a volleyball team that plays his other volleyball team.
There must be some Mormon in Philip Rivers.
Colts are done.
And the Niners themselves, I mean, do they play both? They don't. Actually, they've already played the Rams already, so they got to hope that the Rams lose a game to maybe get in. And because they lost both games to the Rams, right?
The 49ers will make the playoffs.
No, they tied. They tied.
Yeah, they split.
Yeah, the 49ers will still get in the playoffs. They might just be a 6 or a 7.
Oh, no, 100%.
Yeah.
But I'm looking at like how they could possibly win the division because they got to jump 2 teams.
Yeah,
it's
the West is sending 3.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's short of a complete meltdown, they'll be sending 3. Is the expectation.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, if a team just like completely falls apart or there's a crazy injury or whatever, but I mean, if you're going on the trajectory that they've been on, there's 3 teams leaving the West.
I mean, I still think they send 3 even if one of these teams collapses a little bit, because who's to say Chicago even stays in the playoff hunt? Because the Bears' schedule the rest of the way is not forgiving. I mean, yeah, they have Cleveland this week, but we've already seen what Cleveland's defense can do to teams. But then after that, the Bears got the Packers, 49ers, the Lions the last 3 weeks.
Yeah.
They have a legitimate shot where they could lose those last 3 games. If the Bears lose those last 3 games, the Lions can leapfrog Chicago to get that final playoff spot. And at that point, it really doesn't matter how San Francisco plays because they would pass Chicago up too with the head-to-head.
Well, and the West will cannibalize itself a little bit.
Yeah.
Seattle still has the Rams and the Niners left. Yeah. So, I mean, obviously there's going to be a couple of losses there. So the door could open, but realistically, there's probably 3 teams going.
Right. So before we get off here, can we talk about the Michigan situation now with Sherrone Moore?
Yeah, make it happen, man.
So, yeah, Sherrone Moore takes over for Jim Harbaugh the year after Jim Harbaugh wins the national championship, and he has an okay first year, but you knew his first year was going to be a struggle. And then he goes 10-2 this year, had Michigan right in the thick of things at the end of the year until they lost to Ohio State. And then he gets fired yesterday. And not only does he get fired, but he gets arrested 45 minutes later and is currently in jail. Talk about a situation that escalated quickly.
Well, you get to mess with the staffer and come out okay.
That's why they say don't dip your pen in company.
You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying. You can't go to the office.
So now the question is, though, for that Michigan job, because obviously the Michigan position is always one of the more highly coveted job openings once it opens. But you've seen so many teams now hire these high-profile coaches because they want to get hired before the portal. They want to get hired before all the off-season work starts. Who does Michigan even bring in at this point? Like, Brian Kelly's available and whatnot, but outside of him, what coach can Michigan even bring in now that teams are now prepping for their bowl games and are ready now basically set up with their new team prepping for the transfer portal?
Chip Kelly's available.
Brian Kelly, Chip Kelly.
Dable's available. Go grab Dable.
Dable's available.
I could honestly see the guy from BYU possibly going to Michigan, knowing that him and Penn State actually came close to getting a deal done, and then BYU gave him that contract. But nowadays he's like, I want to go to Michigan now.
Yeah, I don't know that that's going to be able to do that.
Or Kenny Dillingham.
I wouldn't be surprised if Michigan licks their wounds for a second. This is something that, I mean, think about the last couple of coaches that they've had.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, okay, we had a coach that was cheating and we got caught. And now we've got a coach that was cheating on his wife and got caught, you know what I mean? In a really bad way, in fact.
Yeah, like that's the issue too. Like Sherrone Moore was handpicked.
They actually have a theme. They should give Urban Meyer a call.
Oh no, he didn't say Urban Meyer.
I wouldn't be surprised if another Harbaugh winds up coaching them.
That'd be
I would
interesting.
not be surprised if they were to lick their wounds a little bit here and wait till after the
Yeah,
new
McCarthy.
year. And I have a feeling and Mike McCarthy is actually a good name for that, but I don't think
I don't think he'll
think
go to
he's
college.
that guy.
I don't think he would go to college.
I was just going because of the last two dysfunctional.
Kenny
Or-
Dillon
or-
from Arizona State.
Or here's another name, Pete Carroll.
Pete Carroll, I can see because he's done it before.
Yeah, it's funny because I actually said that on a show last night. Is Pete Carroll could become available to that because there's a real chance that this is a one and done.
Yep.
In fact, it might be. In fact, it would make more sense for Pete Carroll to just be like, "Listen, guys, I thought this was going to be worthwhile," and give them the last week of the season. You know, like not like so that they don't. You know, they bring in the interim coach. You know what I mean for the last week of the season. That it's week 17. He's
Rob, that just means it's on brand. So
Well,
it would
that's,
be
the
a good
funny
fit.
thing was what Rob just said. I've actually heard Pete Carroll's name thrown out a lot to go back to USC because they are
So-
they are expecting USC's head coach to interview for the Michigan job.
So
Lincoln Riley?
the thing was he actually before he got this job was going to go and teach at USC.
Yes, that's why
And-
now if Lincoln Riley interviews for Michigan, a lot of people think if he gets that Michigan job, that Pete Carroll might just go back to USC and coach USC again.
Well, and he was in that scenario. He was going to be the heir apparent. Basically, it was going to be his way to get back into that football program. So he was going to teach a class there and then be an advisory role in USC football program anyway.
Yep.
So it seemed like they were kind of opening the door for him to come back there anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, if Riley leaves, then
I
entirely.
think Riley's only got 1 year left on his USC deal, which is next year. So if he wants to leave early, it's not going to be a huge buyout like it is for some of these other coaches. You just go to Michigan, take the Michigan job, and Pete Carroll just slides back to USC at that point.
Yeah, and Gruden won't go to college. Like if he comes back, he's coming to the he's coming to the NFL.
I just watched Gruden do an unboxing of Notre Dame's box, and
Yeah.
other than the fact that it just made me sick completely, he is an amazing. He is like a walking encyclopedia of football knowledge.
Yes,
Oh,
I love watching Gruden.
He's
He
incredible.
was naming guys like that went to Notre Dame. Like I'm sure he gets prepped with some of this stuff. Like I'm
Some of that
sure,
stuff
like,
you can't prep.
Well,
but
no,
like you.
he's incredibly smart though, because I mean, like when you listen to how complicated his play calls were,
Right?
and then he still rattles them off.
Yeah.
I mean, he hasn't coached in a minute, and
Mm-hmm.
they're like, "Oh, well, what would you call here?" And he's just like, "Bam, bam, bam," like, and you're just like, "Damn."
Like the Kyle Shanahan and Sean McVay offenses are like the two most complex offenses in the NFL right now. Same thing with Kevin O'Connell. And their offensive schemes are vanilla compared to what John Gruden's play calls were.
Oh yeah, I mean, just absolutely insane when you'd listen to some of his play calls. But that being said, that does get us to the top of the hour. If you've been watching along, be sure to like and subscribe. Helps us bring our content to you. And otherwise, we're going to get out of here. Hope you enjoy Thursday Night Football. We'll see you all tomorrow. Take it easy, everybody.
Peace.